Everything is birthed from the unseen. Every inheritance in the Bible began with a step of faith into the unseen and the unknown. The journey of House of Grace Syokimau began in 2011 when Pastor Joseph Kariuki, while taking visitors around Syokimau, felt a calling from God to build this sanctuary.
In 2009, I came here to sell a piece of land to someone. And as we were doing the transaction, God spoke to me that He needs me to raise an altar for Him here in Syokimau.
Since then, it has been a manifestation of great grace and enlargement. Beginning with only his family as the pillars and support system of the church, the House of Grace Syokimau was born of faith and prayer. On a small piece of land off Katani Road, this blessed family laid the foundation for this church, and through the highs and lows, this is our testimony.
After receiving the call of God in 2009, in the year 2010, I shared with my man of God, and we began to pray and believe God on how we can establish a church here in Syokimau. We had also discovered that even as we come out to Syokimau for outreach, many people were not able to come to our church in Athi River. So there was great need for us to start a church here in Syokimau. And from the year 2010, we begin talking, we begin praying and believing God, and the actual thing realized in August of 2011 when I resigned from my work and I came to serve full-time in this place.
When we heard that Percy was called and was asked to come to begin this work in House of Grace Syokimau, we had confused feelings. I mean, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to react. We had mixed feelings, I can say, because I didn't have a job, and here he's coming and saying he's quitting his job. He has the call of the Lord over his life. It was not easy.
By October 2nd of October 2011, I was released from our church in Athi River, and I came doing my spiritual mapping here in Syokimau. And by the grace of God, we met someone that introduced me to the owner of this land, whereby we obtained favor from her and we signed a deal for a lease of 2 years. Yeah, in mid of October 2011, we were able to sign the lease of this land for 2 years. And immediately we started laying down the plans to launch the church. And the launch of the church was slated on the 20th of November 2011, where our Bishop David Mureithi, was coming to launch this church and begin this work. During the launch on the 20th of November, we hired the tent that we use, we hired the PA system that we were using, we hired the seats that we were using, we hired almost the keyboard and the person to play it. We required almost 15,000 shillings after every Sunday to pay for all those things. When I resigned from my work, by the grace of God, I had 2 friends that used to give us part of the money to pay for the bills. Like I said, 15,000 shillings every Sunday. By 12:30 when we finished the service, I needed to have 15,000 shillings. And sometimes we would collect an offering of 1,000 bob, of 1,200, 600, like that. But I needed 15,000 so that we can pay off all our bills. I had 2 friends that God had brought here, and they were very faithful. Every time that money was not enough, they would give me. But they did just for just a few months. After like 3 or 4 months, one of them just left, and we were stuck, and the bills began to accrue over time. At some point, we had gone to 20,000, we are going to 30,000 accruals. But before it went so much, by the grace of God, the company that I used to work for paid my retirement dues. So I got like 1.2 million shillings. And I set aside some of that money to cover our bills until the day that the church became strong. And within like 8 months or so, we began to break even. And we were able to buy a few things of our own. We first bought like 50 chairs of our own. So we stopped hiring the seats. We also went ahead and bought a few microphones. We also got support from our friend, our pastor in Athi River. He bought us one amplifier and he gave us a mixer that they used to have. And we began ministry. And we did ministry like that. We kept on now adding our own things, our own speakers. We kept on adding more mics. We kept on adding more seats. And we were still hiring the tent. So at some point, we thought it was prudent for us to do our own tent. And by the grace of God, we did like a 150-seater tent for the first time. And ever since, we've been extending that tent from 150 to 300 and now to about 500. Now, it's usually not easy to quit job and join full-time ministry, and especially coming to establish a church. Because when you come to start a church, you have no assurance. There have not been a church there. You are coming to do the apostolic work. There have never been a church there, so it's not easy. You need to have heard God and heard Him clear. And when we came to this place, my family had to believe me. They have always believed me. Every time I told them that we will go for a holiday, they believed me that this December we will go out for a holiday. So when I told them that I will leave my work and God will provide for us, they believed me. They had faith in me. It was not easy because there was no money at the end of the month. But they kept on having faith and believing that this man has taken us through over the years. Even in this one, we need to believe in.
My lowest moment was when we didn't have anything in the house to eat. And I had to just make some juice and walk around selling so that we can put something on our table. And to ensure on Sunday, those who will come to visit us will have something to take, because we didn't know whether there would be people who will be coming for the service. So we were preparing a cup of tea for them. So I had to go around selling juice. That time my husband was not working. I didn't have any job. So I had to do those manual jobs, walking around, hawking juice and porridge in order for us to put something on the table. That was our lowest moment.
Well, it was not easy. They can't see anything for tomorrow.
For almost 9 months I was on the road, selling porridge, selling juice. When it is cold, I sell porridge. When it was hot, I would make juice, blend it, and just walk around and sell it.
At some point, I had not received my retirement money, and the church could not sustain us. We went like a period of 6 months without water in our home. We were disconnected of water. I had to negotiate on several occasions with the Kenya Power people not to disconnect power. And our bill went up to 24,000, just talking to them over a period of time. We also had to have our children for 2 terms in the house without going to school because of school fees. And I thank God for my wife. I thank God for my children. They've been very supportive. They made the first worship team of this church. My wife, my son, and my daughter.
When we came, the 3 of us were in praise and worship. I would lead the service, and Austin and Lisa would back me up.
After they have done that, I will come up, do the announcement, and preach the word.
And we were really strong because we knew this is the work of God we are doing, and we are called. And because we accepted the call of our dad, then we have to support him. We were the first members of the church. And that time when we came, the church didn't have walls. So that was a challenge. We didn't have a floor. I mean, we would just come, members would come and go. Sometimes we would come and meet, our tent was carried away by the wind.
You know, the tent was somewhere over here, so the wind had carried the tent like so far. Then Dad had to like remove his coat, then call the guys who were around, and then carry the tent from where it was till here. So, you know, it was hectic, and we had to start the service again.
And it was not easy for us as a family because we felt ashamed, we felt, God, is this what you called us for? Did you bring us to Syokimau to shame us? And we continued to support him and to pray.
And it was just awesome. And they did it for a couple of months before God began to raise other men to come partner with them, and even them handing over to a new team. The major thing to do was to establish ministry teams, and the first and foremost was our worship team. By that time the church was about 12 people in this church, and out of 12, 5 were from my house. Yeah, because myself, my wife, and my 2 children, and our house help. And our house help was very understanding. When we came to church, she was the one doing ushering. So she was our first usher and the only one. So that's how we started. And by the grace of God, the number kept on swelling. I remember from 12, we came back to 9. And from 9, a couple of Sundays, we went back again to around 12 again, to 15, to 20, and the number kept on growing like that. We were also having many children coming with their parents. And so there was a need for Sunday school. And one of our close family friends came and joined us, and we challenged them to go and spend their time with the children at Sunday school. From there, our Sunday school ministry was born. The next ministry that was born was the women ministry. My wife began to collect the ladies that were coming to church and just challenging them to pray, challenging them to come early in church and prepare for the service. Arrange the seats, wipe the seats, and do what they can do in the service. Certainly, we began to have 2-3 young people that are coming to church, and they were just coming for the service, and immediately after the service, they go home. So we thought like we can challenge them, we can group them, we can begin to show them something to do in the kingdom. And we began to collect the 3 that were regular in coming to church. I spent a lot of time with them, talking to them, encouraging them, and even going out of my way to guide them in their careers, show them what they can do to cause a change and effect in the community around. And they began to take it very positive. They began to invite their friends. Today we have over 50 young people that gather in this church in the youth ministry. And we thank God. We had very large number of women and young people coming to church, but we didn't have men. And even close to 1 year, we had like 2 or 3 of them. But we said even with that number, we can begin something. So we began gathering the men, talking together, getting to understand one another, and opening up ourselves in that, what can we do for one another? And how can we do to reach out to other men around? The many ladies that were in church, they got boys in the house, they got husbands in the house, they have uncles and other relatives that are men in their house, and we thought we needed to do something so that we can reach them. And when we began to talk to one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, the number also kept on rising. And there we launched our men ministry. And ever since, we've been gathering men of this church, and even in those that do not come to this church, but they are our friends from within. We gather them for breakfast in various hotels here around, just to encourage them, talk about businesses, talk about the role of man in the house, talk about what we can do in the kingdom of God as a man, and encourage them to do more, and also exchange and help them network one to another, get to know what each and every one of us are doing, so that we can be able to see if we can blend and network. Right now we have several departments. So far, the hospitality, we have a media team, we also have another team, the sound. We also have the protocol team that makes sure that the protocol is not breached in church. We've also established an outreach group. We call it Project 141. One person reaching one person at a time. By the grace of God, We've seen people getting saved as a result of our reach out, and we bring them here to church, we disciple them, and immediately we disciple them, we baptize them, commission them, and plug them into the ministries in church. Some of our young people, they also grew in love. We've joined them here in church, get married and begin families right at the foundation that God has built.
Our wedding was on 14th of December 2013, and it was so glorious. We saw the church coming in full.
Forever seems like a long time.
Couples ministry.
Nothing seems like a long
We have brought couples together,
when I am with you.
get speakers from out there to come and speak to them, challenge them
I
on
feel like I'm
parenting.
walking on water since the day that I asked your father to let go of his daughter.
How to solve differences in marriage, generally how to make marriage as God intended. So far we had like 3 dinners. One of the things that we have done was to organize the first Syokimau marathon. It was a very good outreach project for us because we got to know a lot of people that are in our neighborhood. We exchanged contacts, and ever since we have been reaching them one after another. During the time of marathon, we brought in over 1,000 trees here, and we distributed it to people for free. Each person to take a number of trees to go and plant in their compound, and all their 1,000+ trees were taken that one day. And occasionally I have visited some of these neighbors, and I've demanded to see where they planted the trees. And that has been a good point for us just to interact and keep our friendship. We have also gone to the slum nearby called Kicheko during Christmas to present gifts to them. We have played games with the children. Together with a number of churches, like-minded churches, we were able to organize for the first ever community prayer day for Syokimau. And we saw the community coming to pray and seek God for a number of items that we had listed, for our security in Syokimau, for families and marriages, for our youths, for the businesses in Syokimau, and the churches also in Syokimau. Yeah, for the young people, we've been able to have a number of activities. Like they were very, very instrumental in organizing, planning, and mapping the route for the marathon. Also in our project 1 for 1. We've had concerts for the youths in this place whereby they come and we teach them about drug. We teach them about comprehensive sexual education. So we've done a lot of things with the youths. Occasionally we just organize an event here in church whereby we collect all the children from around and bring bouncing castles around here where children will be playing, people to do face painting for them, all those things. Yeah, we also partner with other organizations like the Outdoor Pursuits Kenya, just to organize for hikes, bike rides, just to enjoy ourselves and make ourselves feel good. We've also had people that have worked with us. I just want to say a big thank you to all of them. Just to mention a few, I want just to appreciate our Bishop David Morethi, who you've just been a great father to us, and your support is evident, and we really thank God for you. We also want to thank God for our mom, that's Reverend Ronica Morethi, such a wonderful mom, an encourager, person who has, can just change your day from bad to best. We thank God for people like Prophet Godwin Essin, all the way from Ghana, Apostle Karistomi from Liberia. We have Pastor Wycliffe Mudaki, who has also been a good friend of us. We also have a wonderful mother to us that has seen us through many days, even when I was in college. That's Evangelist Mama Mwai, a great woman of God. We also want to thank God for all our friends that have stood with us over time and have supported us in one way or the other. May the Lord of peace be with you. May you enjoy grace all through your life, and we will not forget what you have done in our lives over these 5 years.